and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. And make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go to our website, you'll see all the ways that you can follow the podcast there. You can listen to the podcast there. You can watch it. The best thing that you guys can do is to rate and subscribe and leave us a comment and share your favorite clip. We put out clips every week. But yeah, sharing and letting people know about the podcast and to follow it and all that is what helps the most.
Good stuff. So we just got back from camping.
Yeah.
Took a little family trip.
Yep.
And
and we are not good at planning. Well, you are great at planning. You did an awesome job, but I'm saying like when it comes to like let's plan out a family vacation.
Yes.
It was like no. It was like, hey, we're redirecting our efforts. Like I had this jiu-jitsu tournament, right? Mm-hmm. So at once like last week we talked about I decided not to do it. And it's like, okay, well, now that that's not happening, the kids go back to school like in a week. And let's see if we can make something happen. Like, let's go camping. Let's go do something with the family. So it was like, what was it like it was like 2 days
like a week,
or 3 days.
Something like that. And we decided to go camping in Sedona. It was just meant to happen. There was a lot going on for me at that time on top of planning this. I'm planning the women's retreat, working on the logo, working on all kinds of great stuff, fun stuff, right? And Miguel's working a full-time job. So I'm like, okay, I have to take charge and I have to, get everything ready,
organize
reserve stuff. And all that stuff. So I used to always say.
This actually started happening when I was out of town.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because I was out of town and you were like, we need to reserve this if it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I normally would say that I'm not a good planner. I'm not a planner. And so that's what I created. That's what I was creating. And then I made the decision, I am a creator. I'm creating this women's retreat that's taking place and I'm seeing how everything's unfolding. So I'm like, yeah, you are a creator. So then that's what I've been focusing on. And so I'm like, if I can put together a women's retreat, then I can put together a
camping trip.
Yeah, 3-day camping trip. And so that's what I did. I just focused on that, did all the grocery shopping, and I am so proud of myself because I handled it. I mean,
you did.
I cooked everything, like the breakfast burritos. Miguel put the burrito together. He's always been really good at wrapping shit up. So
I just used what they taught me at Taco Bell.
Dude, well, even with the children, when they were newborns, you were the one that would wrap them up. Anyways, so we had such a great time. We had our nephew and our niece with us.
Yeah.
And it was our first time, like really spending quality time with them and seeing their little personalities and just
yeah, it was fun.
Getting to know them and talking to them about their grandmother, which is my sister that passed away.
Yeah.
And having those conversations with them, talking to them about their grandmother and everything that I remembered and how she was and what she was known for. And
you were telling them about how she was a break dancer.
Yes. And all the trophies she won. And, her nickname was Smurfette. And they really enjoyed all of that. And it just felt really good. It's funny because I felt like when you see movies where there's a grandma like sharing stories or a great grandma sharing stories with the kids, and the kids are like with their hands on their face, listening, like all into the story.
Grandma used to do that.
Yeah. Like that's what I felt like.
That's cool.
Sharing all that with them. And anyways, we had a really good time.
Yeah.
We did great. I mean, we handled everything. We got everything packed, put together, and
yeah, it was a short camping trip, but it was a lot of fun. And it was so beautiful. Like the place that we went to, it's just north of Sedona, like between Sedona and Flagstaff. And it's just down in the bottom of this canyon. Like there's like, it was perfect. I mean, there's like really no other way to say it. Like in the morning when you wake up, it's nice and cool. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much like once you eat breakfast and you're like cleaning your stuff up, and we were getting ready to go to like this little water hole that they have there. It's like a stream, but at a certain point, it turns into like this big pool. And there's a cliff that you can jump off of. There's different spots that you can jump off of, and the water's like super clear.
Yes.
So after breakfast, when you're done cleaning up, it starts to get a little bit warm. But by that time, it's time to throw on the shorts and go to the watering hole in it. And it's big enough. Like there's a bunch of people there, but it's not like super crowded or anything like that. And people have music out there. It's fun. Yes. And then once it starts getting a little chilly, like the sun, because it's in a canyon, like the sun only hits you directly for a short period of time. And when it's not hitting you directly, there's trees and shade around you.
Yes.
So at a certain point, the sun goes to the other side of the mountain and it starts getting shaded, and you start heading back for dinner and hanging out in the campsite.
If your reason for not camping is that you're not a good planner, become a good planner, because it's great to spend that quality time with the kids and get them connected with nature.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I had a lot of deep conversations with the kids, the girls. There were times where you were with the boys and I was with the girls, and we were just having, just really good conversation. And I felt one. I felt like one with the nature, one with nature. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. Saw a lot of good friends, old friends from sixth grade.
How do you know people in the woods? That was freaking crazy. Like we're just out there for a camping trip with us two and the 4 kids, our 2 kids, and like Sonja said, our niece and nephew. And we're just planning on it being just us out there. And then as soon as we get there, you run into like an old cousin or something, and they have like 3 campsites, rented out or whatever. And they have the whole setup. They got volleyball. They said they had a projection TV, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they had the hookup.
And then we're like, we go do our thing. And then the next day we're coming back from somewhere or going somewhere. And then all of a sudden you hear Sonja out in the woods. It's like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, how do you know people in the woods? I was like, this is freaking weird.
It was so cool. These were my friends from 6th grade that got together in 6th grade and are still married today. And I got to meet all their children, and they got to meet our children. It was bizarre. Yeah,
it was funny. But it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun, and then like you said, the nature, the wildlife we saw. Oh my God. The wildlife. We could talk about that for a second. Because, the birds that we saw, they had like these blue jays. They're not blue jays because they're not completely blue, but they're black and blue, and they were so cool to watch and play. And
they are more blue than black.
Yeah, but there was some kind of jay, like a jaybird. But Joey, my God, this kid, he's gonna need there. I was just talking to my brother about this, like through message. Like I was telling him, I was like, no kid gets out of childhood unscathed.
No.
Absolutely. Like you could have the most supportive parents in the world. They could do everything perfect, and that could end up making you soft. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Oh my God. We've talked about like the freaking the vacuum in the pool that traumatized him. And then this time we're camping. We're all standing there by the campfire. And it's like a little circle, like a half a circle around the campfire. And I'm sitting down, and there's somebody next to me. And Joey's kind of like standing up in between us, right? And I look over at his shirt, which is like at my head height. And he's got this beetle that's about as long as my finger, like my index finger, the whole freaking thing.
No, that's the body. That's not the antennas. No,
that's not the antennas.
That's the body.
That was just the body. So it's about 2.5 inches. Yeah, probably about the length of my middle finger, the entire thing. Yes. And it's black. It's big. It's probably about 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide. And it's on his freaking shirt. So
right there on his chest. It's just right there on his chest, holding on.
So we're all sitting there by the fire, and I'm like thinking, like, how the hell am I going to tell him so that he doesn't freak out? But at the same time, I'm like, there is no way to do it. So I tried to like guide him to turn around, but I was like, Joey, I fucked up.
Yeah, you did. Yes, I was like, Joey,
I was like, turn around and get that shit off your shirt. Get that giant beetle off your shirt or some shit like that. And he looks down and fucking lost it. I mean, I would have fucking lost it. If that was me, and I told him that. I'm like, dude, that was an appropriate response for the fucking having a killer beetle on your chest or something. Dude.
I was laughing so hard, like, because for one, how you told him. Yeah. And you were just as scared as he was. You were going to fucking swat that thing off of him.
Smack that beetle.
Miguel was not touching that. And I was just laughing because I'm witnessing if it was going my husband his head, but that shit was funny. My son.
Dude, it was so big.
And it was fucking hilarious.
It was so big that his sister was sitting next to him, and his reaction was to grab a fistful of her hair. He fucking grabbed her by her hair and like brought her down to her knees and like pinned her to the ground. Yeah. And he was like frozen. He's like, Dad, get it off of me. Get it off of me. And I was like, oh shit. So I like turned him around so that he wasn't facing the campfire, because I was thinking that if I went to smack it, I'm going to smack it towards you or towards one of the other kids, and then it's going to kill them, or whatever, So I make him turn around, and that thing was so freaking big. I stuck my hand underneath his shirt like to smack it away.
And it held on.
It held on the first time.
Yes.
I had to smack it harder and then it flew away. But dude,
it was so funny. This thing was big, ugly, scary. Oof, right?
That was traumatizing.
But I'm like, if I would have seen that first.
Oh, whatever. You wouldn't have done.
Dude, I would have not told him about it. I would have saved him some counseling or therapy or coaching. I would have it was so big that you could have just smacked it off, right? Not go under the shirt. You could have smacked it off, right? Without him even knowing. Come here, Joey. Whap. But instead,
of course, that's what
instead, Miguel, what you told him, and
like, turn around and get that shit off your shirt.
This is all I heard. My son had the highest scream ever. And he was so embarrassed. And then after that, he was like, Miguel was, I think you were laughing too, or you weren't doing anything at the time. And he looked at you and he's like, Dad, get this bug off me now. Like his voice, it went from a screeching scream to a serious, like, get this shit off me funny now. Yeah, because like, Dad, help me, Dad.
What I was saying before is what was happening is he was facing us. So like I wasn't immediately smacking the bug off of him.
Yes.
Because like I said, if I smacked it, it's probably where he was standing, where I was going to smack this bug. It was either going this way or that way. And I think he was in between two people.
Yeah, I don't remember. See, Miguel was so scared. He doesn't even remember who he was between.
I needed him to turn around away from everybody that he was facing.
Yeah.
And that's why he was freaking out, because I wasn't like immediately just slapping it off of him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't turning around either because he had his freaking sister in a hairlock.
Oh my goodness. And she was laughing so hard. She wasn't mad about it. She was about to pee in her pants because she was laughing.
But if he was going to die, she was going to die with him. That's what he was thinking.
Oh my goodness. If
this beetle kills me, it's killing both of us.
So we were walking to find another area where we can go fishing or something. And we came across this beautiful spot. The water was clear and just amazing. So I'm like, it's warm because we've been walking. I'm like, I'm going to get in the water. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting the water to be that cold, but it was cold.
Yeah.
And so all the kids did a cold plunge, right? Yeah. Because that was like a cold plunge for them, and I was there coaching him through it, and they all did it. And I was so proud of them. It took Joey a while to say yes, and it took a while for Alana to say yes, but they freaking did it.
Yep. Yeah,
and I'm like, cool. Yeah, it was a proud moment.
It took me a while to say yes. It's been a while. I was like, this freaking sucks.
Yeah.
It's cold.
So, and then we realized the date. I don't know how it came up. I think it was Audrey, actually, who was like, Mom, your anniversary. I think it was Audrey who brought it up because I was just not aware of the day, or, you're out there and you're lost. And so, yeah, happy anniversary, babe.
Happy anniversary to us. 15 years.
15 years. Yesterday. Well, you guys are going to see this Sunday. Yes.
So Friday was our anniversary.
Friday was our anniversary.
Yeah.
And so I always when we were there camping, we had zero signal. Yeah. But I really was focusing on being present and being in the moment. That my phone died and that was it. So I have some pictures. I took a lot of pictures with your phone as well. Yeah. Because I like when Facebook brings up the memories.
Yeah. It's not all bad.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I love those memories. And so that's why I make it a habit to take some pictures and to post, because it's cool to look back.
Yeah.
On where we were 5 years ago. And especially mentally, where we were, and to see where we are today, how much we have grown. And so I put a post up late last night. You were asleep already. And I was thinking about where we are today and compared to where we were last year even, or the year before.
Yeah. And
where our relationship is today. So I wanted to read this to you because I'm not sure if you even got a chance, because I did put it up late. But it says, I love the way you love me and the way I love you. The love we share is divine, and there are no words to describe the love we share. 15 years of getting to know you has revealed to me who I am. And what I mean by that, and I know we've shared this before, but this is going to be an anniversary episode, you guys, where we're sharing our ups and downs and obstacles, and see if we can get it in an hour. I don't think we can, but either way, we can continue at the following, if so. But 15 years, you were what, 24?
Yeah.
I was 30. And we had a lot of past trauma and pain.
Yeah.
That we had not yet became aware of, which was interfering in our relationship.
Yeah.
And being with you for the 15 years, actually 16 years, but married 15, how I learned so much about me was through you. Because there's certain things that you would do or that you would say that would make me feel a certain way. And I knew that that wasn't normal to feel the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so I would question the pain. I would question the triggers. And that's when I started to learn that it wasn't about you, but about me. And so that's what, there are no coincidences. You and I were chosen for each other to help one another break free from ourselves and all the stories we were told about marriage and love. What we witnessed as children and the stories on how relationships should look and the meaning of the word love. We recreated that. And I feel that we did. Being able to look back. I didn't even know what unconditional love is. Yeah. I mean, did you? Did you know what unconditional love, what a healthy relationship looks like?
No. No, I can't say no. There were some that you would see. Kind of like you were saying the other day. I think you saw a post from somebody in your family, and you're like, they have always been like that. They were always like that. Like there was certain people.
It was my Aunt Simfer and my Uncle
right?
Cody.
There were certain, like there was people in our business that we met in.
Yes.
That were like that. There was some couples that you would run into and you're like, yeah.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Rios was one of them.
They're one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know that, so it was like, yeah, that could happen. But it's just like everything else. Like it's gonna take going through things, it's gonna take work, it's gonna take everything,
And so in relationships, it's hard to know whether the love is authentic or not, though, right? Because there's times where you're hanging out with someone and it seems like, wow, they have an amazing relationship. I mean, we know a couple like this, that's how it looked, but that's not the way it turned out to be.
Yeah.
Like the love, the family, just all of that.
Yeah.
But the only people that know what is real are those that live in the home.
Right.
So yeah, there were some that I thought had, good relationships, and then to come to find out that wasn't the true story.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I've always been optimistic about that, about stuff like that, about most things, because that is a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. To have a good relationship is a good thing.
That's hilarious. This is okay. So how funny is that? Because I'm the optimistic one most of the time, right?
Right.
Like you are as well, but it's like I'm more like on this high where I see the good in everything. But when it came to relationships, I wasn't as optimistic. But it's because of what I went through growing up.
Well,
and what I witnessed is what made me not so optimistic, more of a pessimist when it comes to relationships.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always maybe just kind of like the underdog type thing. Like that's always been how I've always seen things. And maybe having a good relationship is like being the underdog, nowadays, because so many relationships have so much trouble, Yeah. But I've always thought that it was possible,
I never did. You know? Like I never believed in happily ever after. Like I wasn't that little girl watching Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty and waiting for my Prince Charming. Prince Charming did not exist in my mind.
Yeah, but I'm also realistic, and I didn't believe in any of that shit either.
But
I do believe in building something together, because that's not a relationship, is fucking Disney. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. That's a big part of the problem of why relationships don't make it. When the guy feels like you're supposed to be doing this, and if you don't do that, then you're not a fucking man, or you're not this, or you're not that. And when the woman is supposed to be doing this and look like this and act this way, and it's like
all the false expectations.
This is life. This is life. We're just trying to do the best we can together. And add, to each other.
But what do you do?
And everything else doesn't really matter. That's the other thing. I don't know how it turned into this, but yeah. Like really, nothing else matters.
What do you mean by that?
Because it's crazy. Like even your closest family, your friend, like your kids, even when it's all said and done, you're the only one that I have with me. So what does anything else matter?
What changed? This is going to become an interview of Miguel, now, because I want people to understand it wasn't always this way. Because there was a point where I remember in the old house where you and we were still learning about each other, and there were a lot of challenges, right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of obstacles. There was a lot of challenges. There was a lot of hurt and pain within myself that I had no idea even existed. And I remember at one point being jealous of the love that you had with the kids.
Yeah.
Because you were very physical touch with them, but when it came to me, not so much.
Yeah.
And as a woman, to say this, I've talked about this. So the more I talk about it, it's just easier. It becomes easier. But wanting that and not receiving that from, the person that I love, but seeing that love being shared with our children and how easy it came. You didn't have to think about it. It was just so easy.
Yeah. I don't know.
And things shifted.
Yeah. But we are also different people. I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago or 12 years ago when that was happening. Mm-hmm. It's people change. Like I told you that there was a certain point where I realized that I was messing up. That's why when we were camping, I pointed something out while we were camping. And like we've said, I can be negative or I can notice negative things. But I try to be optimistic about stuff. And when we were camping, I noticed somebody with certain tattoos. They were Nazi tattoos, right? Mm-hmm. And they were walking by and they noticed me. I noticed them. They smiled. I smiled back. And then I saw the tattoos and I was like, oh, interesting. But I said something. I was like, wow, it was unexpected, right? And the kids heard that I noticed it. And then I said, but we don't know. I was like, right. For one, those tattoos look old. I was like, I don't know who that guy is. He smiled at me. He could have been like, I'd like to kill that spick or something, that could have been the smile, but it didn't seem that way. Like he smiled at me. He acknowledged me. I acknowledged him, smiled and kept walking. So I was like, tattoos or no tattoos. Maybe they were old. Maybe he's changed his mind since then, but I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know how it led to that, but
that people change.
Yeah.
But they change. This is the thing though. Some people change and then some people don't. So what is the wake up call? You know what I'm saying? Like someone's watching this right now and they're like, I've been I've been in this relationship for 20 years and I feel like it's going nowhere. And, the reason why I'm in this is because we have children together. Dude. And I'm so lost and I don't feel any love and But there was a reason why you're with the person that you're with. How do you get back to finding that love? Finding that spark, that desire that you once had.
I think it's not easy, but if you're willing to work on yourself, and even still, it just depends. I mean, some people go through their entire life, and they know. And it's just back and forth until it's like finally you're done. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm fucking that Joe Rogan video that I had shared with you about the dude, this guy Chris DiStefano. He's a comedian. Look it up. It was like the best fatherly advice or whatever. And he was telling him, he's like, it's like gambling. Like you just keep going back and forth in your life, you know, and when you finally decide like, you know what, I'm fucking like, let's just live life together, you know, and focus on each other, put each other before everything else.
There you go. Yeah.
And then everything starts changing.
That's what I was going to say. Like for me, you know, when things were challenging in our relationship, I started looking back. I started looking back at who you were before the stressors came. I started looking at us before the stressors came. What brought us together? What connected us? What brought me to you?
Well, that's what made our bond so strong from the beginning. You know, we had a lot of challenges to overcome right from the beginning. You know, challenges that we stuck together through. You know?
And I think that as time goes by, you start taking the one person for granted. The one person that you should show all respect to, the one person that you should love and not take for granted. It's like, you know, when you give your best to everyone else and then you come home and then give the rest to the person that has been there for you from the beginning. It's like you forget.
That was a big realization for me. And you pointed that out. I don't remember if you were pointing it out about me or if you were pointing it out about yourself.
It was about me.
But this was like way back in the other house, like years ago.
Yeah.
And I have always been that person that always tried to, what's the next thing? How can I do better? How can I be better? How can I learn something? How can I, you know, in my work, in everything. And then when you pointed that out, I was like, how could I be that way in everything else in my life and not in the thing that's like the most important in my life?
Hold on to that thought, okay? Women, men, whoever's listening, right? I did not point out to Miguel where he was lacking. I pointed out where I was lacking. And I came to apologize to him because I was a business owner out there networking, you know, just giving all of myself to those that some didn't know me quite well, right?
Yeah.
You know, my team, of course, I love them. We loved them.
Yeah.
But you are the one that I'm spending my life with.
Yeah.
And when I came to this realization that I would come home and give him the rest of me.
Yeah.
When I realized that, I cleaned my mess up. And I talked to you about it and I shared with you what I was feeling. And instead of me being like, well, you know, go out and not go out, but you know, you're out there with your whatever. And then you come home to me and treat me. Instead of me doing that, I seen it in myself. I pointed out where I was going wrong, which in return planted the seed and helped Miguel to self-reflect. Where am I in that situation? Like, am I doing the same? Like, it got you to think instead of me because most couples, it's more like back and forth, bickering, back and forth, and blaming each other versus taking responsibility and allowing you to identify your own shortcomings, not by me pointing them out, but by you realizing and looking within.
Yeah.
Because I came from love, because I came from respect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I said, throughout my career, having that personality, and also like, because I think it always started with like work type of stuff. Like maybe not just work, but athletic things or whatever. Like I always wanted to do well. and do better and try to get better. You know, in the military, I wanted to do extra. And I also liked being a leader in a lot of things. And, you know, being part of a family, it is being a leader in the family. And so as a leader, like I've always felt like humility is a big part of it, like I've told you, and listening and like, you know, admitting when you're wrong and like taking things in from other people and shit like that. And, you know, so I've always kind of applied that. And then you brought this up one time and then I started looking at my career. And like at that point, I was with the company that I was with for a while. It was probably like maybe like 5-6 years. And in those 5-6 years, like I kind of look back and I'm like, man, like I've done this and I've done that and I've done extra stuff. Like I do extra stuff that I don't get paid for to make myself better at work. And I read books and I listen to stuff to make myself a better leader for work and for the people that I'm with. And also, I mean, we have a business, which I applied a lot of those leadership things in the business. And yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, you go to work early and I'm doing the best I can. I'm working hard. Like just trying to do the best I can so that if an opportunity comes up, I can take advantage of these things, right? So that I can keep
focusing on being a good provider.
Yeah. But it's always been like that, what we've been talking about with BNS, like what one can be, one must be, or whatever, right? So like it's always like I can be better, I can grow, I can have a little bit more responsibility, I can have a little bit more influence, I can make some more money. Let's do it, right? But then after doing that, from the time you wake up till the time you get home, sometimes you feel like, well, that's over. And then now it's time to take a break or whatever. But then you start realizing that that's just the way you should be. Like, you shouldn't be treating the people, like you said, like, why would you treat the people at work better than you treat the people in your house? And it's a weird thing when you really think about it. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if maybe for a lot of people, it's just not apparent or something.
That's what it is.
But and I think so, because I was just talking to a friend about something like that. And I was happy for them. They were telling me about all the things that they were doing, like some new responsibilities that they had at work, and that now that they have people that are working with them. And it reminded me of that point in my career. And it was like, yeah, I was learning a lot and I was being made a team lead. And I remember somebody specifically telling me about how I handled a situation. He was like, dude, you're good. Like you're going to be one of these, like you could be a really good leader if you want to in this company or whatever. Mm-hmm. Something like that it was like, thanks, man. You know, like I'm headed down the right direction. But then you get home and it all stops. And then like when you really start to think about it, a big part of it is because you identify so much with what you do for a living. It's such a big part of your identity, which is why you put so much effort into that stuff. But man, I've seen it. When it's the end, it's the end. It's over, and you will be replaced. And who's going to be left? You. The kids will be out of the house. All my coworkers will either be retired, dead, my position is filled. And who am I left with? So why does anything matter as much as you do? You know? Yeah. And your kids. Like, to treat and put so much effort into a job that will replace you. I mean, yeah, the friends and the relationships that we make there are great. Mm-hmm. But I was just telling my little brother this, like, if your funeral is on a rainy day, half the people won't show up. That's what I've heard. That's what, I heard at one point. Half the people won't show up. The people that will show up are the people that really care. The people that don't give a shit what you've accomplished, how much money you made, what you have. And you're that person for me. Because when we got together, there was none of that shit. It was just an opportunity to make it all happen. And we're still doing it. And it's crazy because I was talking to my other brother too. And it feels like, and we've talked about here recently, that feels like everything is leading towards, it's getting closer and closer. You know? Closer to the point where it's not like the work stops, but we can work on the things that we want to work on.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
It is.
After 15 years
feeling.
to feel like we're getting started.
Right. And that's I mean, I can't imagine, I mean, our love. Yes, I can. Like growing even deeper than what it is now. But it's like the more things that we accomplish together and, you know, seeing our children off, helping them become great adults, right? And feeling that self of accomplishment and love. And so, no, I definitely can see it becoming deepened.
Yeah.
But it all takes effort. It all takes desire. And it's not about winning. It's about living. It's about living. It's about doing the things that brings joy.
Sometimes those things come in a disguise that looks like a difficult challenge.
Oh, yes. For sure. Oh, my gosh. Like,
because
for sure.
Difficult challenges, a lot of times you look back on. It's weird. It's crazy. You know?
Yeah.
How that is.
Yeah. Because joy comes with challenges. You know, I'm just thinking when I was laying in the hammock, and I know this sounds so little to you all, especially those of you that plan out camping trips every year or whatever.
We're surprised we didn't die out there.
We were not that. I was not, because boy,
we had gas.
I did.
We could drive somewhere if we needed to.
And I want to thank I want to thank Kelly too, a really good friend of mine, because she helped, with just getting the wheels going. She was laughing at me because I'm like, yeah, I'm planning a trip, and I showed her where we were going. She's like, well, do you have this? I'm like, no. Have you done this? No. And so,
have you checked the weather?
I know.
No.
And then she got my wheels going.
Yeah. Of everything that you were going to need.
And she helped me out so much.
Yeah.
Her and Ian, we have some great listening, right? Like,
awesome. Definitely
appreciate you both, because you definitely lended us a helping hand with this camping trip for sure.
They let us borrow the cooler, and there was a point in the camping trip when I opened it up and I looked at the name.
Yes.
And I was like,
Ashu.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good people. But anyways, it's like when you realize that you are in control.
Yeah.
Like you are in control. When I look back on where we were, even the day when I turned 18 and moved out, and everything that I created up until the point that I met you, and seeing all the decisions that I've made on limited beliefs, right? Things that I taught, things that were told to me, and seeing how I responded to you coming into my life, right? Allowing you, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Right. And then unfolding like all the garbage and really taking out the garbage. That's what I started, just taking out all the garbage that was sitting within. And every time something happened between us, right? Challenges. It's like, where is this coming from? There's so much. A relationship is very...
Dude, it's so crazy to even think, because it's almost like you want to be wrong more, because you only really learn when you're wrong. Like, we did the most learning through the times that we were wrong with each other.
Right.
And then it's like, that was fucked up. That wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have said that, but it only comes, it's the things that we don't want. And it only comes after you accept and you recognize, like, I fucked up. Where did that come from? But it's recognizing that you're wrong. And if you're always right, then how are you going to get better?
Right. And putting your ego aside, putting your pride aside, and recognizing that it's interfering in the relationship. But when you recognize that you are wrong, being able to clean your mess up and say, I'm sorry for saying blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I love you and I didn't mean that. And a lot of times when you are sitting with pain and hurt from your past, words that are said cannot be taken back, right? Like, it's planted within.
Yeah.
And so that's why they say words can give life or take life. And even though you may have cleaned up your mess, it's that thought, does he really feel that way about me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you're still in that phase, it's not like you can release that seed right there and then. Today I can, because I know who I am. I don't care what you say about me, because I know me. I know my heart. I know where I stand. And if you were to say something today and say, you know what, baby, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold on to that. And it's not going to move me or bother me. You clean up your mess. I know that we're not perfect, that we say things at times, but it's not going to affect me, because I know who I am. And I know that's not who I am. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But when you're full of unhealed hurt and trauma, that seed will fester.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that has not been released yet. You and I feel what helped us is that we didn't turn to alcohol. We didn't turn to drugs, to shopping. During those times, I think I was focusing on reading, like bettering ourselves. We always were, to where we had that time, that moment to think about what happened. Because if not, if you would have just slammed the door and said, I'm going out with my friends, see ya.
Yeah.
Then you would have drank it all away, numbed yourself, and then, you know what I'm saying? Not giving you that time to think about what just happened.
There is something that I remember watching a video about this too, but there was something that we have done also in our relationship that a lot of people do. And I wonder if there's like certain levels of it, but when something is going on, right? And you have to be careful who these people are, because there's certain people that when you talk to them about your problems, they will add to it. They will add to it, and those are not the people that you want to be talking to when you're going through stuff. When you're trying to figure out your relationship or whatever, because it's like, oh, fucking so-and-so, you should hear what happened to her, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then your wheels are turning, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So a lot of times, like if we were going through something, we would either think about it ourselves and then eventually talk to each other about it.
Mm-hmm.
If we had to talk to somebody about it, it might have been like a very close friend that we knew they weren't that type of person that was going to add to it, or like they might just be somebody that would listen for something or whatever. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it was between us.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, I really don't remember. There might have been once or twice that I talked to a friend, maybe, but we handled stuff. Maybe my dad or my mom, for something here or there, but the majority of the time we talked things out between us.
Yes. I don't remember talking to anyone. My sister Diane, she went to her grave knowing a lot of secrets. But you and I were at the beginning stages of our relationship.
Yeah.
When she was alive.
Yeah.
And I just remember calling her and saying, he's 6 years younger than I, and I don't da-da-da-da-da. But she always was very positive. You know what I'm saying? She was never she was always positive about things.
Yeah.
Well, look at it. He'll have a lot more stamina. She was always there to make me laugh and to, I'm positive. Look at the positive side of things. But I don't remember talking to anyone else because, for one, it's like, who did I know at that time that had a healthy relationship that could pour some wisdom into me?
Does that person have what you want?
Exactly.
That you're talking to?
And I didn't know anyone like that at that time. So you were it for me, and I had to learn to give you space and to give you time, because back then I wanted to fix things right now. Yeah. Now. I don't want to go to sleep angry. I don't want to hold on to this. I need to fix this now. And you were angry and did not want to speak, and you needed time to release, to let go. And I had to learn that. Yeah. I had to learn that. I had to learn to step back and respect you. That was huge for me. Do you remember that? We would get into fights over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's respecting each other's space.
I remember one time, I think it was one time I hurt your feelings. Because I think I told you just to fucking leave me alone.
Yeah. Yep.
Or something like that.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah. But that's all it, I was just fucking leave me alone. Would you fucking leave me alone or something like that? And
I was like, you want to be left alone? I'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
And I think I left. I went to the park. I got in the car and I left, and I went to the park, and I was gone, and just,
But that was one of those things and sometimes maybe that's when things that you don't mean to say, you say, or I don't know. But that's why also silence is good.
Well, it depends too, because for me, silence is torture, right? If we got into...
That's fine, but it's better not to say anything.
Yes. And it's learning, because once I learned...
But I couldn't do that before.
Right.
Now...
You were unaware.
Right now, if you were to piss me off, I'm just at a certain point, if that's how... I could be in a place where I might be a little bit more agitated or whatever. But if I'm at a point where it's you know what? I'm just not going to say anything. And just be quiet.
Yeah.
Because why?
Nothing comes good out of, spite or hurt, especially when you're in the moment. There's nothing good that's going to come out.
Yeah.
You know? But we did have to learn about each other, and that's where respect comes from. Okay, well, he needs time. I'm okay with that. I'll give him the time he needs. And then when he's ready.
And I'm sure now that you mentioned that, there's been a bunch of times where you've given me time, and then before you bring it up, I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Hey, about earlier, you know, this is what was going on. Or when you and whatever, we started talking about it. You know?
But that's all comes with getting to know each other.
And being able to be wrong.
What are each other's triggers? Knowing, right? Like you started, when I started healing, when I started to self-reflect and going through my self-processing journey, when I started to learn about me, I started to let you know.
Yeah.
So that you would understand why I would act a certain way, and it wasn't your job to heal me. It was my job to heal me, but just to bring it to your awareness. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with blah, 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 blah. And I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way.
Right. We've always talked about, like, even if I'm listening to a book or reading a book about leadership or whatever, if it applies to our life, then we talk about, oh, it's kind of like this and kind of like that or whatever. We've always just kind of grown together that way.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, yes. And when we started learning about each other, when we started going within and self-reflecting, when I started working on me, you started working on you, right? Outside of being successful, outside of being debt-free. I'm talking about our relationship. I'm talking about us as individuals and us as a couple, which is very important, by the way. Yeah. You can't just, you have to have goals as an individual and goals together.
Yeah.
That's how you grow together. If everything is always separate, that's how you grow apart.
Yeah.
And you're going to be different stages, different cycles of your life. I'm 46, right? You're 40. You're going to be 40. You grow. Yeah. Things change.
And we're different people.
Exactly. So it's like recognizing who you're with, respecting who you're with, loving them, letting go of all expectations, and just accepting you for who you are. When I stopped trying to change you, things started to unfold.
Yeah.
And you started to just change on your own.
It's been fun.
And as we've changed and as we've grown as a couple, our parenting has changed. You can't change in one area and not change in the other areas because it all comes together. Right. The better you become together, everything changes.
Yeah.
From the way we do business, from the way we parent our children, from the way we are with our family, with our friends, with our pets, just all of it, all the way around.
Yeah. Yep. And like we said, we're just getting started after 15 years.
After 15 years. And does it feel like 15 years?
No. It doesn't feel like it's been 15 years.
Isn't that nuts?
It's so crazy, like, thinking back, because when you start thinking about stuff, it's like it's been 15 years.
Yeah, like the things that we've done.
Like you start looking at some pictures, like, damn, it's been 15 years.
And we look at our kids and my
I know,
daughter
my God.
and my son. I wear the same size shoes.
I mean, we went camping, and I'm sending like my brother pictures of the kids and all of us camping, and I'm like, these are like our niece's kids. Like you guys, when he came over, they were all hanging out, and now we're camping with their little kids.
Right.
I was like, it's been 15 years, you know?
Wow.
And yeah, like you said, it's exciting to know that we're headed towards where we're supposed to be going together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got to figure out a way to celebrate.
Oh, I got some ideas. No.
And with that, on the next episode, before we go on the next episode, I have something that I wanted to share. A really good lesson that I was able to talk to Joey about. I kind of shared it with you a little bit, but there was a lot to it because the things that were happening was just one thing leading to the next thing. And it's also something that is missing, it seems like, in today's world, with just like what he's going to need for the future. But I'll mention that on the next podcast. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching the show.
Thank you for your love, and thank you for your support, and thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together. Bye.